like, for instance, I'll just throw one out there, and it's not even like a local one, but that, do you know BN, those biscuits?
BN, BN.
And that's BN. You know what I mean? People love
Great.
it, you know? Yeah. So, I mean,
No, you were
and
just.
then even Ross back in the day, like, Ross, you know? It's
But I
like,
mean,
like,
all the ads when we were, we're talking obviously we 90s kids now, right? So like born at the end
yeah,
of the 80s. I remember very clearly some of my favorite ads when I was a kid, which was also maybe something that triggered my like appetite for advertising. But there was like a Cardi's ad with like this guy delivering all these sort of things to this lady that he loved, and he had a great soundtrack. I don't know if it was. I don't know what it was. It was. I remember the song was amazing, and I remember the music was such an important part of that song. I want to say it's Otis Redding, but it might not be. But it sounds like it's like soul Motown, soulful like music. And was this guy like Carew, and he kept like giving these gifts to this woman that he liked. So he gave her like a little like a pumpkin, and she came out of the door and she saw the pumpkin and she didn't care. She closed the door, and he gave her like a little baby pig, and she saw the pig and she didn't care. And he kept giving her stuff like flowers and all that sort of shit. And at the end, he gave her like a card. It was a Cardi's card, and she like opens it and she smiles and she looks around, and you cut back to him and he like smiles because he knows he's in. And I love that ad, and I was like, "Fuck, man, I want to make an ad like that." It was a beautiful ad, and it wasn't based on strategy or insights. It was just like a simple thing. This guy liked this girl. Or, I mean, he was an older gentleman, so it was like a 50-year-old, 60-year-old man, and like a 50-year-old lady, or whatever. But he obviously had the hots for her, and he wanted to get her
mm,
attention. And everything he tried didn't work. But the one thing he tried was just giving her a simple card that he got at Cardi's, and I loved it. And I was like, man, if I could make something like that that like had a great soundtrack and it had like charm, and there was like I guess there was an insight in it, but nobody wrote it down. I said the insight of
yeah,
this ad is that guys like girls and they want to get them. Um, but you could it resonated with you, right? Because we all liked the girl and we wanted to get her and we didn't know what to give her that would make her feel the same about us.
yeah,
And like, I mean, there's plenty of examples, but that one's just stood out for me now. And I just wanted to make stuff like that. I just wanted to make iconic ads that people loved. And yeah, I mean, the landscape changed, and people got the internet, and people got Netflix, and people got
yeah,
also YouTube, and all sorts of streaming things, and people weren't subjected to whatever you put in front of them on the TV. They have options to like go to another channel, or they have options to not get ads or skip ads. So I mean, the landscape has changed, and I think it's hard now to make that's. I mean, we've got social media now, so it's different. Like you have to. I mean, we've adapted. We've all adapted. You and I have adapted. We've learned how to go from making TV ads and stuff to making social media posts to making doing like UX stuff. I mean, particularly you. So I mean, advertising is always going to be advertising, and we have to adapt to it. And maybe those days are gone, and maybe those days of making those iconic TV ads or those iconic posters that people love, or those the people that still wear on their T-shirts for like a band poster. Maybe those days don't exist, and maybe the nostalgia is what kind of keeps us going, hoping
mm.
that we'll create what was inspiring to us. But I don't know.
He changed the world for the good things found. If she's bad, it can see it.
Maybe they aren't bad. Maybe we're just old. Is that what you're saying? Like, we've
I
just gotten
mean,
old.
to an
We like
extent, but
the
I think,
older bad.
but people can say the same thing about music, right? So everyone can go now. Oh, the music of these days is super shit. And I remember, like for me, I'm a big hip hop fan, and everyone like goes, "Oh, '90s hip hop was the best." Like when Nas came out with Illmatic, and Raycon had the Purple Tape or whatever. You know what I mean? Like everyone can say those raps were classic, and they aren't wrong. But to be fair, they also didn't have that many options then. You had the Wu Tang Clan, and you had Mobb Deep, and you had like I don't know who else was around at the time, Master Ace and Big Daddy Kane. And now there's like Lil Yachty and there's Lil Xan and Lil something else, Lil Wayne, um,
Little Pump, bro.
Lil Pump,
Don't
dude.
forget Little Pump.
I think yeah, what I'm saying is like, sure. I mean, their music isn't. I don't personally dig it, but someone who's like a kid now or like a teenager now, and they're listening to Lil Pump and like they have memories associated with Lil Pump. 20 years from now, when he's listening to what's happening then, he's gonna go, man, they don't make music like Lil Pump anymore. You know what I mean? Like I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like because he has that nostalgia attached to Lil Pump or whoever the fuck. He's always gonna look at that as the golden era of hip hop when Lil Xan
Yeah.
and Pump collaborated or whatever, or Uzi Vert.
I mean, he'll be wrong, but he will
He'll be
think of it as
absolutely
his
wrong, but his kid will tell him that he's wrong. But his kid will tell him he's wrong because he's not listening to, I don't know, some Roman numeral guy. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I suppose. I never really thought of it that way. Like, obviously, we've got our own biases, you know. So, like for me, I'm gonna look back to a certain era and say that this is like, I suppose maybe it sounds weird for me to say like a golden era of advertising because it's kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it did exist, but I would think that you and I were exposed to the same era of advertising. For us, like and people always refer to it. What is that ad where it was for SABC1, and the guy, I'm using TV ads now as an example, but the guy, it was like we just like came out of apartheid and people were making like really interesting ads, and it was like the roles reversed. So everybody in the ad, there was usually like black. So like everyone in the taxi was white. Was it like, yeah, somebody walked, like the black family was in the Range Rover and the white guy walks past and they like lock their doors, which was obviously based on like real things that happened. And obviously the creator who came up with it, that has happened to him. But like, I mean, that would still, for me, be in whatever we term the golden age.
Look, I mean, like one of my favorite ads, and it's not necessarily a groundbreaking or an award-winning ad. And I think most of my favorite ads aren't. But and that's pretty much why I don't really like awards. But it is. Do you remember that ad where there's a waiter and he's serving different courses to a cement mixer?
Oh yeah, langoustines with extra peri peri.
Yeah, exactly.
Maylocks.
And then yeah, and then this thing starts tumbling. And it starts off with like a little starter, langoustines. And then a dessert pavlova with, you know, and then right at the end, drops in the Maylocks. And this thing is like tumbling, drops in the Maylocks, and then it's calm again. Yeah. And it's just such a weird ad, but memorable and like nicely executed. And there's no agenda, you know, it's not like, there's no like real market research that went behind it. They were like, well, we did a study and you know, people aged 23 to 33 really identify with cement mixers. So we're going to put a cement mixer in. People like upmarket restaurants, so we're going to put like a really posh waiter in. Do you know what I mean? They just thought, how ridiculous. You have this juxtaposition of these two characters. One is an inanimate object, but it's moving. And it's just funny, you know?
It's just a demonstration at its core. And I think those ads were made before focus groups and like target markets and LSMs and you're going to get me to say it, but strategy. Like there wasn't any like strategic insights. It was just like a guy who with his copywriter sat at a bar and was like, oh, sometimes my stomach feels like a cement mixer. And they go, wouldn't it be cool if we use the cement mixer as a metaphor for your stomach and we threw all the shit in and we put in our product and it made your stomach cool? Yeah, that's great because people get that their stomach's like a cement mixer. No focus groups, no market research, no fucking let's interview everybody. It was just like, here's a good ad, here's a product, makes your tummy feel better after you eat a lot of shit, much like a cement mixer. Boom. Simple, clean advertising. It was joyful, dog. Wu-Tang Clan is dead.
I mean, if you're going to sell me a product, make it joyful. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll be in the shower later and you'll be thinking, oh, that cement mixer ad with the Maylocks was quite funny. And then you can carry on with your day. Instead of you're in the shower and then all of a sudden you've got that, I like the way you move, like in your head, because Vodacom used it, you know, for an ad with the meerkat, the CG generated meerkat. Now your day's ruined. You could be thinking of like, a joyful cement mixer and a posh waiter, but instead this 3D generated hideous character, which is like just generated an earworm for the rest of your week.
Listen, people
And that's
love that meerkat, man. I don't know why you're gonna hate on the meerkat.
I like the way you move.
No,
Listen,
I mean,
West
I
Coast-
love the meat. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know, man. You know.
Yeah, man. I think yeah, man, it's a different time. I hear what you're saying, but like I think it's a different time, and there's very few ads nowadays. And like, let's be honest, when last did you watch TV? I can't even recall a TV ad I've seen recently. I mean, I can like think of one or two, but they're not TV ads anymore. Like when they're on social media. So I've seen an ad on social media that I like. I assume it's on TV.
Or you'll see it on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I assume it's on TV, but it's not like I'm probably not going to encounter it. But then also the fact that I've got like Wi-Fi and like Netflix means that like I'm pretty much not the majority of the market. So the majority of the market is maybe watching the TV ads, and I don't know what they're seeing because I've opted out. I've opted to not watch what's on TV.
You've got ad blockers and all that shit.
I've got ad blockers and I've got streaming services, so I'm just like, if I make ads all day, I don't want to come home and watch ads. But I know that's probably not the best way to do things. But I've made enough ads in my time to go. And I know, man, I know when I've had a good idea for an ad, and I know when it's been bastardized, and I know when like clients made the wrong decisions in terms of casting, and it could have been funny or it could have been this or that. I think I don't know, man. I can't speak to what it was like back in the day when those people came up with those ads, but I assume there were just a lot less cooks, and a lot less people. Like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but I don't think everybody needs to have an opinion about everything, and I don't think you need like 20 people workshopping an ad when like maybe they don't have the same experience you have, or like sometimes the insight or the thing that made the ad like catchy, or the nugget of like originality gets so diminished or gets like watered down to the point where your ad doesn't look like it used to anymore. And like I can see that happening. I think it's easier nowadays because there's so many people with their hands in something to create something. I don't mean in the bad way. I mean, I can't think of a good way to say it, but like I think maybe the problem is that there are too many opinions, and there are too many people that it has to go through before anything gets done, because there's like hierarchies, not only like in the creative department, but there's when you get to client, then there's like different levels of people that has to go through, and the person maybe with the worst opinion is in the best position. So I mean, like I can't play devil's advocate, but also I've been in boardrooms where great ads died. So have you, and it's harder. I think it's harder nowadays to like not only have brave clients, but have brave like people in the agency to fight for the ads. And like I don't think I've even been in a position where like my hierarchy or my jurisdiction ends here, and someone above me has to come in and save it. And there's a handful of people who have been able to do it, and there's some people who can't. And like nobody wants to piss off a client, and nobody wants to lose that agency. Yeah. Nobody wants to lose that client, and nobody wants to lose that money, and nobody wants to lose that retainer, and nobody wants to lose their jobs. So I hear what you like. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can only say how I feel about it.
But I mean, that even sounds weird for me. Like fighting for an ad or for an idea. That sounds like super weird for me to be. Okay, to be passionate about it, it's cool. Like everyone's passionate about their jobs and they want to do it to the best of their ability. But the fact that you have to fight just so that it's mediocre or above average, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That for me is strange. Surely people would just welcome you with open arms. Like, yeah, make the good stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it comes back to who pays for it, right? Who has the money that goes, who signs the check, who signs it off and goes, I'm entrusting my brand or my product to you. I believe in you guys wholeheartedly. I believe that you know what you're doing. I believe that we've hired you because we believe in your skills and your expertise. go wild, or not even go wild, just like we trust you. We trust you to do your best rendition of what you think is best for our
Hmm.
brand. And like again, there's stakeholders and there's like so many people that it affects, and there's so many people that have to say something or have to have an opinion about it. That yeah, man, I can't think of many structures or clients that are like brave enough to just let agencies have their way. And like I don't know, I think when people cut the check, they get to make the calls, and the agency has to maintain its creative integrity and balance that with not losing their money. And that's where the power struggle comes in. And there's only so much pull or push creative have, and only so much pull client has. Yeah, I mean, it's the age old, you know, what's the word? Not beef, but it's the age old, I don't know, conflict.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think nowadays also the turnaround time with campaigns is a lot quicker. So you creating stuff for now, and the shelf life is a lot shorter. Whereas back in the day, you could really like create a foundation for instance, with something like sheer driving pleasure, and you can really just like have that one campaign stretch over like a few years and do like mild iteration changes. Do you know what I mean? And you can, but I think nowadays it's kind of like, it's what the latest trend is, let's do an ad that revolves around TikTok, or it has TikTok influences. And then it's the next big thing. Let's do an Instagram style ad. Let's do, I don't know, like whatever's cool, mumble
Yep.
rappers. And then it's just like, it's kind of like cultures informing the creatives, as opposed to back in the day. I think the creatives and the advertising guys, they informed what culture, was going to be like, and what cool trends are going to be out there and stuff. But now I think it's different. It's like a company like Skechers will be like, we're not going to just bring out a shoe that's going to be like, that's going to appeal to people. We're going to find out what they like, and then we're going to make that thing. And
Yeah.
then it works the other way around now for me, Whereas like back in the day, it was just cool. It was just cool because, the advertising guy said it was cool.
Yeah. I hear
But
you.
now it's a lot more different. It's like, oh, TikTok's quite popular now. Like let's appeal to that kind of audience, And how do we do that? We do things that are super quick. We use their lingo, and it's, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I think the thing is, look, the landscape has changed, and it's not something I like saying, but I think to your point, everybody wants to find out what the newest trend is and jump on it, and like I guess that is how things have gone. Um, but you can't escape it because everybody is exposed to the same stuff, and like everybody's on social media, and they all see the same videos, and they all see, oh, this guy's trending and he's gone viral. Let's do something like he's done, and like especially some of those requests come from client, man. Like sometimes clients been like, hey, we saw this cool thing, can we do something like this? And you have to go, yes. Or you can say, no, that's a shit idea, but then again, you risk losing the business, or at least like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's a difficult time, and like people are scared, and people aren't willing to fight for the good work, and people maybe don't even know what the good work is anymore.
I suppose the other thing is like, when you're younger, like you kind of you kind of naturally know what's cool because you're younger,
If you're a cool
right?
kid,
And
you're
then,
not a cool kid.
well, yeah, but as you get older, or like when you're a young kid in advertising, you're generally perceived as like this cool kid, and you kind of need to know what the trends are because you're creating the ads and stuff. But I suppose as you get older, you kind of lose it. But because you're in advertising, you still have to be cool. and that kind of stuff, or you know, like the thick frame glasses and like the all stars with the leopard print. I don't know what's cool, but it's kind of weird that you have that at every agency. You get people like they're 40 and they're kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna wear all black and that's as cool as I'll be. But then you get like the one guy who's got, you know, countless affectations. You know, they'll maybe even talk in a weird accent, and that for me I find is like kind of like it's tiring. You know, like you should be able to get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm not cool anymore, and I'm not going to pretend to be cool, and I'll leave that to the younger kids in the agency. But I've got the experience and whatever. But I think there is a bit of a pressure, like even if you're 45, 50, you need to know like what's happening with TikTok. And like I keep saying TikTok because it's like a thing now, but do you know what I mean?
No, I think you're right, man. But I think the thing about advertising is it does sell itself as like, or we sell ourselves as creators as the trendiest or the trendsetters or the guys who there's a term that people throw around. I think, you know, what's the one that's the new hot term?